Where were you when you heard that President Kennedy had been shot? This is a question that most people who were alive at the time can answer. It is one of those moments that they can remember clearly and will never forget. On the morning of November 22nd, 1963, the President of the United States of America, John F. Kennedy, arrived in Dallas, Texas, with his wife, Jacqueline, on an official visit. It was a beautiful sunny day. At 11:50 a.m., they left the airport at Love Field, and crowds stood along the streets of Dallas to watch the open-topped presidential car go past. They waved and shouted their good wishes to the young president and his lovely wife, while millions more watched on television. In the same car were John Connally, governor of Texas, his wife Nellie, and 2 Secret Servicemen. "You can't say Dallas doesn't love you," Mrs. Connally told the Kennedys as they listened to the shouts and saw the smiling faces. At 12:30, the car turned from Houston Street into Elm Street. It was moving very slowly. One of the buildings which had a view over Elm Street was the Texas Book Depository, a large building full of school books. Mr. Kennedy was waving at the crowds when there was the sound of a gunshot. The president's hand stopped moving, and then, as a second shot was heard, went to his neck. There was a third, and perhaps a fourth shot, and his head was suddenly covered in blood. John Connally, who had also been shot in the back by one of the bullets, fell to the floor of the car. The car immediately raced away to Parkland Memorial Hospital, with Jacqueline Kennedy holding her husband's wounded head in her arms. "Oh, my God, they killed my husband," she cried. The cry was echoed through the crowd. "They've killed the president!" And at 1 o'clock, America and the rest of the world heard the news that President John Fitzgerald Kennedy was dead. Not long after the shooting, Dallas policeman J.D. Tippit saw a man behaving strangely and stopped to speak to him. As Tippit got out of his car, the man pulled out a gun and shot the policeman in the head and stomach, then ran away. At 2:50 p.m., 24-year-old Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested in a cinema for the murder of policeman Tippit. Detectives took him to Dallas Police Station to be questioned. Oswald said that he had not killed anyone, but a gun which had been found in the Texas Book Depository belonged to him. He was arrested again, this time for killing President Kennedy. 2 days later, police decided to move Oswald from the city police building to another prison. He was handcuffed to 2 detectives when he came out of the building, but nobody could guess what was going to happen next. Suddenly, a man pushed his way to the front of the crowd of newspaper, radio, and television reporters. There was a gun in his hand, and seconds later, he had shot Oswald in the side. "He's been shot! Lee Oswald has been shot!" a TV newsman told the millions of people who were watching on television. The man with the gun was Jack Ruby, a nightclub owner and a friend of local criminals. Later, he would say that he shot Oswald because he wanted to save Jacqueline Kennedy from the problems and worry of a long and painful trial. After his own trial, he was sent to prison for life and died there in 1967. Oswald died only a few hours after Jack Ruby shot him. On November 25th, John Fitzgerald Kennedy was buried in Arlington National Cemetery in Washington. Jacqueline Kennedy stood with her two young children, Caroline and John, beside her, and with her husband's brothers, Robert and Edward Kennedy. America's new president, Lyndon B. Johnson, watched with the heads of other governments from all over the world. Millions more watched on television. At the beginning, almost all Americans accepted that Lee Harvey Oswald was the single assassin. But very soon, questions were asked about the way things were supposed to have happened on that terrible day. The most important one was, how many shots were there? At first, it was thought that 3 shots came from the 6th floor of the Texas Book Depository, where Oswald's gun was found. But some people doubted this. How could Oswald shoot 3 times in less than the 5.5 seconds it took the president's car to pass, they asked. It took more than 2 seconds to put a bullet into that kind of gun. Then, more than 50 witnesses said that they heard a 4th shot coming from a small grassy hill at the side of Elm Street, in front of the president's car. There were more questions. Did Lee Harvey Oswald assassinate the president, or was it somebody else? "I never killed anybody," he told the police many times. Was he working for someone else? The government of Cuba, perhaps, who did not like Kennedy. Or the Russians. Oswald had once left America to live in Russia for a short time, before coming back with his wife to Texas. Did the Mafia, the international organization of criminals, kill Kennedy? They certainly wanted him dead, because he was making life difficult for them. And so the questions go on, even today. Will they ever be answered? Or will the assassination of President John F. Kennedy remain one of this century's biggest mysteries?